First this evening, though, sadly, we must report to you the tide of public opinion is turning against Israel. Of course, President Biden and others are saying all of the right things, standing shoulder to shoulder and on and on. But it's happening. And Israel knows this. They know, once again, they will be on it's their own, blue and white, as they call it. On that note, images have surfaced that are absolutely sickening. The Israeli Prime Minister's office today put out pictures of the babies burned alive and beheaded by Hamas. It's dinner time, so we're not going to show them to you, but they exist. You need to see them. I've linked to them on my social media at Leland Vittert on Twitter and on Instagram. It's important to take a look so you know what really happened. And it will make what I am about to tell you even more maddening. Prime Minister Netanyahu also showed those pictures to the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken. Blinken arrived in Israel this morning, and he said all of the right things about supporting Israel and Hamas being bad. And then he said this.
As the Prime Minister and I discussed, how Israel does this matters.
I lived in Jerusalem for 4 years, covered lots of conflicts with the Palestinians and Gaza wars. Let me translate what Blinken said. Even before the ground invasion of Gaza begins, even before Israel gets the chance to fight the group that wants to wipe it off the face of the earth, the United States is setting the table to tell Israel to stop. The headlines are always, "We stand with Israel," blah, blah, blah. But it's not just Antony Blinken. Listen closely to President Biden's speech on Tuesday.
We also discussed how democracies like Israel and the United States are stronger and more secure when we act according to the rule of law. Terrorists purposely target civilians, kill them. We uphold the laws of war, the law of war. It matters. There's a difference.
That is a dog whistle to the anti-Israel crowd, the pro-terrorist crowd. Anytime Israel defends itself, the UN and the Europeans and the Arabs all scream about international law. And not to be left out, of course, Bernie Sanders just put out a statement. It's wrong. America must demand restraint from Israel. Israelis' blanket denial of food, water, and other necessities to Gaza is a serious violation, wait for it, of international law. Asking Israel to provide power, food, medicine, and fuel to Gaza would be like asking Britain and the Allies to provide Nazi Germany with fuel during World War II. It's absurd on its face. But for some reason, Israel is held to that standard. The rest of the Arab world is, of course, not held to that standard, but Israel is. And, of course, nobody knows exactly what Hamas has waiting for Israeli troops when they go inside Gaza. But the more precise Israeli troops are, the more danger they put themselves in. Israel, of course, can turn Gaza into a parking lot from the air if it wants to. But they won't, because they know of the political blowback. Now we're in a political debate, not a military debate. The more difficult the fighting becomes, the more aggressive the Israeli tactics have to get, the more political pressure will come to stop. And we are already seeing the discussions of a humanitarian disaster inside Gaza.
They're wiping us out. This is genocide. It's not even an attack anymore. And they keep saying, leave the Gaza Strip. Where to? They want everything.
Apocalyptic scenes in Gaza this morning as whole districts are wiped out and entire neighborhoods destroyed by Israeli bombs. This man in Gaza saying, they killed our children and killed us.
The Israelis haven't even had time to bury their dead. And never mind, a lot of the damage you are seeing in Gaza is from years ago. Of course, the media doesn't make the distinction there. That's the U.S. media. The international media is even more direct.
And what about those Palestinians in hospital who are on life support and babies and incubators whose life support and incubator will have to be turned off because the Israelis have cut the power to Gaza?
Are you seriously keep on asking me about Palestinian civilians? What's wrong with you? Have you not seen what happened? We're fighting Nazis. We don't target them. Now, the world can come and bring them anything they want. If you want to bring them electricity, I'm not going to feed electricity or water to my enemies.
Don't worry, that's coming to American media soon. Just give it a few days. Egypt, too, of course, could offer food, fuel, medical supplies, but you won't see the Egyptians vilified on CNN or MSNBC. In fact, Egypt also shares a 20-mile border with Gaza, a border they could be used to create a humanitarian corridor for medical aid. They could let civilians escape. They could find them safe havens, perhaps in Qatar, in the Emirates, or in Morocco, or in Egypt. The Egyptians don't want anything to do with helping the Gaza people, nor does the rest of the Arab world. The suffering Palestinians are on their own. They're more useful suffering to make a point about Israel than they are useful to help. The Qataris and Iranians, well, they back Hamas. They created this mess. They continue this mess. Hamas keeps the civilians inside Gaza. Turkey and Saudi Arabia don't seem that interested in helping either. In the coming weeks, you're going to hear a lot about what Israel has shut off to Gaza, including water. What you won't hear is that Gaza has its own water supply, I should say had, until Hamas destroyed it. Hamas just released video of its digging up water pipes to turn them into rockets. Yet Israel, as you heard, will get blamed for lack of water. That is just one of many examples of what you will see over the next few weeks. The ground war will be ugly beyond words. War is ugly. And fighting against a group of religious fanatics who behead babies and use human shields and keep civilians in the battlefield makes it only worse. And let's not forget the celebrations in the street on Saturday. The very same people who celebrated the slaughter of Israelis are now complaining they aren't getting electricity from Israel. Israel will now have to fight down those very same streets, all while getting lectured by the American international media about international law and the suffering of the Gaza people. All happened in less than a week. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.